look, I left a job where, I was kind of like a top dog. And now I have people referring to me as my husband's assistant. And so, I'm in my feelings. I'm like, people don't see the value that I bring to the business. They just think that basically I'm a housewife now, which is,
she is not.
Nothing wrong with
you
that.
Are not.
But that's not me, and that's not my journey. It's not my story.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Kickback with Keri podcast. I'm your host, Keri Henderson, and I'm super excited about my guest today. She is someone that I have known pretty much all my life. She's my oldest friend. Renée Goings is here, and we're going to talk all about entrepreneurship, how to go from corporate to owning your own business, and all of the stuff in between. So, welcome, friend.
Thank you, friend.
I'm so excited you're here.
Me too. I
want to give you your flowers and start by saying I'm very proud of you. Aww. I've probably told you this before, but I know the journey that you have gone through. We hear a lot of people talk about, I want to do full-time entrepreneurship. Like, I want to run my own business. And it's flossed a lot on social media as being like, it's glamorous. Like, you just going to, quit your job and things are going to be out here flourishing. Mm-hmm. But I've seen you go through the process of leaving your full-time job. It was a very nice, lucrative full-time job.
Yes.
I'm going to say, we'll talk about that. To being a full-time entrepreneurship with your husband. And so I've seen that journey. And so I just want to say I'm very proud of you of going through that journey, navigating that journey, and getting out on the other side.
Thank you. Because it wasn't easy.
No, it was not.
It wasn't easy.
And we talk about that. So let's start with you now work for, I'll say it's y'all's family-owned business, Done Dissertation, but you weren't always doing that. So what were you doing before you went full-time as a co-owner and director of operations of that company?
So previously, before making the leap, I worked in the corporate arena. I worked for a national broker, and I worked on the health and welfare side. So that meant that I assisted a book of business that I had, or probably it was about 23, 26 clients on managing their health and welfare benefits for their employees. So that meant negotiating renewals with insurance companies, underwriting renewals, managing programs, etc.
She being modest, y'all. She was a boss. Okay? She was a VP. Okay, let's say what it is. You don't gotta be shy.
I always get shy like that.
I don't know why. I don't, because I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna need y'all to brag on yourselves and say what it is. You were a VP.
Yes. I'd gotten there. The last firm I was with, I had been there, I think about 8 years, and started off as basically an analyst working under a VP that was managing their block of business. And I worked my way up to where I had my own block of business and I had a team under me that was helping me manage.
See, a boss, like I said. So what happens? You're doing this, right? You're out here living your best VP life. And then you decide, okay, I'm going to leave that behind and work for the family business with your husband, my friend, hey bro, Ramon, and work on Done Dissertation, because that's a lot to give up to go into a space that, entrepreneurship is not easy. It's a lot of uncertainty. We're both the type that we don't like a lot of risks.
Nope.
We're very type A. We like structure. We like certainty. We want to know where the check is coming, what the schedule is. We are very much in line like that.
Yes.
So how do you go from being that type of person in that environment to jumping into working in your family business full time?
The best way I can describe it is that it was a pressure cooker of different things happening at the same time. So while my husband, who's the founder, the company really is his brainchild. I always say that. It's based largely off of him and his experiences. While that was starting to flourish, I'm helping him on the weekends and in the evenings, and things are just growing. So you had this equilibrium, so to speak, where during that time, COVID happens. And so, unfortunately, while a lot of businesses may have seen a decline, we saw an uptick in business because we had folks that were having the time and the space to write their dissertation and they needed help. So business started to go up for us. So I'm wearing a lot of hats. I'm doing stuff with the business on the evenings and the weekends. And then on the flip side, of course, COVID is happening.
Yes.
And my full-time job, I'm having a lot of additional responsibilities being added on me. My clients are trying to navigate this landscape. Again, business owners that have employees and trying to help their employees navigate COVID and what it is today. And it started to become a lot. It was a lot. We lost some folks on our team. And I just started to get to the place where I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling burnt out. And I was feeling like I needed a change. I needed something new. And in my mind, I was like, okay, potentially maybe you go get a different kind of job, but what was that going to be? I had spent a lot of time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears getting to where I was in that position. And, just to be honest, I love the people that I work with. My boss, I love him. He gave me a lot of opportunities. And so I didn't want to leave him in a lurch. But this pressure cooker of things just started boiling, I guess. And I was like, something has to change if I want something to change.
Oh, I remember that moment because we were having multiple conversations like, are you going to do it? Are you not? Should you stay? What if they give you more money? Should you stay?
Yep. It got to the point too where for me, and I know that, I don't take this for granted that it wasn't about the money. It was about my happiness, and it was about me feeling fulfilled. It was about new challenges, and it was about embarking on something that was also going to give me the bandwidth to be the best mother, the best spouse, the best daughter to, my husband, my child, my family members, my dad. And so, I was just so burnt out from my corporate job. It was time for something new. So they could throw all the money they wanted at me. But
and they
did.
And because we talked about that
yes,
too.
We did. And they did. But for me, it wasn't about that anymore. And in my mind, I always have to justify, okay, like mathematically, because that's my background is math. Okay, you're going to offer me X number. Well, then that's just my goal of what I'm going to make on this new, adventure. And so that was my goal. That was my new goal. And I'm not going to lie. For those that are watching, this was not a overnight decision.
Let me tell you. Let's talk about the process because most people make it seem like, okay, it ain't serving me no more. I'm out. And a lot of people take that leap without a plan, but you're not a person to do that, right? Some people will I know I can't be here anymore. I know I'm being called to do something different, something more purposeful. I'm just going to go for it. But what was your process like?
Our process was, I didn't want my way of life to change at all. So the numbers had to make sense for me.
Right.
And so what that meant was, shout out to our financial advisor, Randy, many meetings with him working on, okay, what's the number we need to make within the business to basically cover what my salary was, because I didn't want my way of life to change. That was a big thing for me, a non-starter. And so it was about a 6-month process looking at our budget, looking at what we were saving, what we had in savings. If something happened and business didn't pick up, what was our contingency plan, A, B, C, D, E? Because that's just, I have a math insurance background.
Yes.
So assessing risk and planning for all the
different scenarios.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's just what I do.
Exactly.
And so I would say it was about a 6-month process of just figuring out the numbers, figuring out what it was going to look like, what was I going to do on a day-to-day, what was the goal, and before I eventually said bye and I left.
Do you think you would have ever gotten to a point if the numbers, let's say the numbers didn't make sense, do you think you could have left even if the numbers didn't make sense and take a more of a faith walk?
I don't know. That was really big and really important to me. There's certain experiences and things that I want my daughter to have.
Shout out to my niece.
And I just didn't want any aspects of our life to really suffer. I wanted this to be a growth and enhancement opportunity for me. So I think it would have just been I would have stayed longer, but eventually made the shift and just sacked away more money.
Gotcha. I only ask that because I know sometimes, it can be a little easier when you have a partner, with 2 income households to make that shift, right? Because maybe you make a little bit less this month, but then you guys can pick it back up, or you can make an arrangement that you can still somehow have a similar lifestyle. But if it was a single person like myself, right? It's like, girl, how long do you wait before you're just like, you know what? I may just have to.
It's definitely harder.
Make a leap.
And I tell you all the time how proud of you. Yes. Let me give you your flowers.
I know, you do.
How, not to minimize anything that I've done, but, you as a single woman being so successful in your career and everything, you're doing it on your own. Yeah. And that's a very, very different journey than me being able to rely on a partner. Yeah. And so I just want to take my hat off to you because to your point, yes, it's very different. You don't have that additional safety net. So for me, just being so risk averse, if it did and the numbers didn't make sense, I think I would have seen that as a sign that it wasn't time.
Gotcha. So you make this. So you guys talk about the numbers because I know Ramon wanted you to. Didn't he want you to leave?
Oh my god!
Earlier than you actually did.
Yeah, and I was like, no. No.
Because he's very much like a. Listen, we'll figure it out. Like let's just do the thing.
Yes.
Because that's how he is when we do business stuff too. Because I work with them, and for Done Dissertation, we're going to talk about the company in a bit. But he's very much like, let's just go. Let's just do the thing. So you guys are a good balance to each other out. So you make the leap. All right, we're like, okay, I'm done with corporate. I'm in the business. What was that first 6 months to a year like? Because when you go from a corporate world to running your business, your schedule's different. How you get clients is different. How often you're getting leads and clients is different. So what was that process and that journey? What did it feel like now that you were on the other side?
Scary.
Yeah.
I left a world where you can never know everything, but I left a world that I knew a lot. I go to meetings. I'm meeting with CEOs of very large companies, CFOs. I'm leaving this world that I'm very comfortable in, and I'm entering into another world that I don't know a whole lot about. Yeah. My husband, founder of our company, we help folks that are struggling to get their dissertation done. And I don't have a doctorate. Yeah. I've never written a dissertation. All I know is what I've heard him say at home about certain things. So I don't know a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And we had decided, we needed to understand exactly what our roles were going to be. And I moved more into the sales role. And so basically that means I'm having consultations with prospective clients. I got to know what I'm talking about. And I'm the kind of person, I want to know everything. Yes. And so it was a lot of pressure because I'm like, how in the world am I going to talk to a person and basically convince them to work with us when I've never even done this before? Right. Do I even have the merit to do this? Right. So there was some imposter syndrome. It was scary. But again, one of the reasons why I wanted to do it was for a growth opportunity. So I had my little moment where I was like, what did I do? Okay, put your big girl panties on. Mm-hmm. Just like I did in my previous job. I didn't start where I was. Now's the growing. Now's the learning. Now's the grind. And so I really started making it my job to learn as much as I could. And so, it just developed and evolved. Really kind of solidifying my position and the value that I brought to the business. Because, I was feeling some type of way, and we had many talks. I would be in my feelings because it's like, look, I left a job where, I was kind of like a top dog, and now I have people referring to me as my husband's assistant. And so, I'm in my feelings. I'm like, people don't see the value that I bring to the business. They just think that basically I'm a housewife now, which is,
she is not.
Nothing wrong with
you
that.
Are not.
But that's not me, and that's not my journey. It's not my story.
Because the company has grown significantly since you left corporate and have joined full time. So when you heard that, how did that make you feel? Because I know how that makes you feel, but I'm sure there are other people that decide, family wise, okay, a spouse is going to leave corporate and we're going to work on the family business together. So how do you navigate hearing those? And I know people they're not being malicious, right? They have the good intentions, but how do you navigate feeling like that? I came from being a top dog. I'm like a valuable member of our group, of our team, and I'm being regulated to my husband's assistant.
It was hard. I didn't know how to respond to it because I'm not a person that likes to boast or brag. Yeah. I want to stay humble. I want to be humble, but at the same time, I want and need to correct people. Yeah. And so it was an evolution. It was an evolution for sure. But there were times where I felt kind of hurt. I felt minimized. I felt like if it were the flip side and I was a man and my husband was a woman, would that still be happening?
Yeah.
What gender roles or
Would they be
norms are
saying,
coming?
He's the assistant to his wife.
Exactly.
Like,
No. So it was a little bit of that
Yeah.
as well. And I had to start learning how to politely correct people. No, I'm not his assistant. This is what he does, and this is what I do. And we co-own Done Dissertation because best believe when it comes down to the dollars and cents, we made an investment in me leaving my job as a breadwinner to come and do this. But we believed in our purpose. We believed in what we were doing as a business. And so it was worth it to us. And so I just wanted to be seen as an equitable partner in the business.
Right.
And so, I had to learn how to start correcting people at times when it was appropriate.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of carve out my own path. We in marriage are very different, but we complement each other very well. And we basically kind of had to take that and apply that to our business. So, Ramon is the face of the business. I mean, he does all the instruction, all the coaching, the
all
books,
the
all the
videos.
curriculum, all the videos. He is the expert. I am not the expert. But where I do shine is in the fact that I understand how to be organized, how to set financial goals, how to stick with them. Sales, I'm a people person.
Yeah.
My husband is very much he's an extroverted introvert.
Yes, he is.
But he's an introvert by nature, where I am not. So me getting on a sales call with somebody and just talking with them like they're a friend, and a lot of them have ended up being friends of mine, it's not hard for me. And so we basically just have to play off of each other's strengths and balance each other out to make it like where we have been. And so, he does all of the forward-facing stuff. I do a lot of business development, sales, behind-the-scenes projections, budgeting, looking at different opportunities, strategic opportunities in terms of how we're going to grow and flourish. And so it's ended up being a good
Working
fit.
itself out.
Yeah.
What other challenges do you think you faced because I feel like it's been a journey for you, like the last 2 years. It's like, I feel like you're just now coming into
Seriously.
like your positioning and being more confident in because I'm like, you be killing the sales calls. Okay. You be like, I got a lead. I got a sales call. I'm like, every time you post in the group, like, congratulate this person on joining the program. I was like, oh, okay, she's doing her thing. So what other challenges do you feel like you had to overcome to like finally get comfortable where you are now? Like, fully owning, like, yes, I'm co-owner, I'm director of operations, I be killing these sales calls, like I'm the boss in the business too.
I think I had to get over the fact that being humble or having humility meant I had to be silent and had to be a wallflower. I think I needed to own the fact that over the months and years, while I've not written a dissertation and while, I don't have my doctorate, I still know a whole lot about this process. I still know a whole lot about what it takes. And so I had to like kind of own that. It reminds me, just talking of this, I was having a call with a client and I had said something like, oh, she had a question. And I was like, let me take that back to the expert because, I'm not really a coach. And she says, is that how you see yourself? She said, you certainly are a coach.
Ooh.
And I was like, what?
Nah.
And she said, these strategic sessions that we have. So I meet with our clients monthly just to check in, see how things are going.
Oh, this was during a check-in.
Yeah.
Oh, so she read you a little bit.
She did. And she was like, you coach just as much as your husband does, from the sales call and getting us to even join and be a part of this amazing community, but also checking in on us and thinking outside of the box on things that we need to do to get finished. You most certainly are a coach. And I was like, wow, I never had even thought about myself like that. So it's having like little experiences like
Yeah.
that have definitely contributed over the months and years and getting to where I am now versus where I was when I
Those
first
were like
started.
what I hear on I saw in a recent video, like your God wink moments to kind of like remind you like you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
So because y'all work in a family business, y'all are together all the time. How do you separate like business life? Because I know somebody's gonna be like, okay, I'm working with my spouse, but then we talk about business in the day, and then we talk about business at dinner, and then we talk about business at night or on the weekend. So how do you guys find time to like separate so you can like be business partners and then still be husband and wife, parent to, to my niece, to my adorable niece? Like, how do you find the balance of all of that so that there's still this separation between all the different roles that you guys are in?
Well, the first thing is just in pure location.
Yes.
We're not working in the same office right
Yes.
next to one another.
Which is a good idea.
Yes. He's all the way in the basement. We're separated by 2 floors. He's in the basement. I'm on the 3rd floor. Okay.
Yes.
So we all each have our separate offices. And because we work very differently, I like to have on my shows, yada, yada, yada. I'm on the phone a lot with vendors and potential clients, whereas he's downstairs. He likes to listen to a certain kind of music. He's got to get writing done, etc.
Yeah.
So just physically, we are separated. There's some days when I'm on call after call after call and he's busy. Oddly enough, we don't really talk that much. I'm in my groove, he's in his groove.
Yeah.
And when we need each other, we'll just ping each other on like GChat or something like that. But to your point, yes, it's hard to separate. We'll be at dinner and inevitably we'll be talking about our day, and our day is about our business. Whereas before, when I worked outside the home, I'm talking about what happened here and he's talking about what happened, where he works. But there's certain times where we're like, that's off limits. We're going on a date night and we're not going to talk about work. Sometimes it's hard.
It is, yes, because it's so integrated into your life.
It really
right?
is.
Yeah.
It really is. And we do the same thing. Like, we're gonna go on a date night, and we're not gonna talk about Leah, and we're not gonna talk about what she's doing. We're gonna talk about where we want to travel, what things we want to do, what goals we have for ourselves. But you have to be intentional because we're very much interconnected because we work together. So it definitely takes some like purposeful, okay, we're going to do this and we're not going to talk about that stuff.
I love that. Yeah. That's good because I know it's hard.
Yeah, it is.
I know it's really, really hard. So as a business owner, because I'm sure, people want to, as the expert in sales, I like to say, you're like the sales expert. What advice would you give to somebody where, and they're starting their own business or they've been doing business for a while? Like from your perspective as a director of operations, running the sales calls, like what advice would you give to people? Because we know you can have the best marketing in the world, but when you get on that call, if you don't know how to sell or convert or have your processes in place in the background, all that extra effort up front is going to be in vain, basically. So what advice would you give to people? Because I consider you like the sales guru over here. So
the best thing I can say is be authentically you. It has served me well. In my previous job, I was in account management. And so typically, you have 2 sides of the house. You have business development, basically sales, and then you have account management. So sales goes out, they get the client, then they bring them home, and then in account management, you're managing the client, keeping them happy. So I was on that side of the house. But we always said everybody is a salesperson because if you think about it, you have to resell over and over and over again, even to clients that currently are with you, so that what have you done for me lately? They continue to still see your value. For me, that meant building meaningful relationships with my clients, really connecting with them. We have a job to do, but at the end of the day, we're all people. And being able to connect with them was very important to me and building those kind of relationships. And that's why I feel like I was always able to retain business.
Yeah.
When my clients came in, they typically did not leave unless it was something that was over their head, a business decision that, whatever, the company was getting bought, stuff like that you can't really help. So I really have translated that into what I do now. And I tell clients this, and it's the truth. When I get on a sales call with a person, my goal is not to sell you or to get you to join our program.
Yeah.
My goal is to share with you the value that we could potentially offer you and to get you to make a decision. Because if the decision is no, continue to look for the help that you need. And I'm moving on to the next person.
Right.
And so being authentically you and not being cheesy, salesy, not trying to fit someone else's mold. I'll never forget my first sales call, and I still remember that call. You know, I was so in my feelings. I was like, I don't know this, I don't know that, you know, blah, 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 blah. And Ramon, he was like, well, here's like the script that I use. And I'm like, this ain't gonna work for me. Because
it was tailored to him.
It was tailored to him. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't see that anybody would want to work with us if I'm following a script.
Literally like, so welcome.
Yeah. I was like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so what I had to do is I had to build in repetitions. Of course, there's key information that you need to provide to the person, but I had to do it in a way that made sense for me. And what that means is putting the person first. So I'm getting to know you first. I'm getting to know what your pain points are. What are you dealing with in general in life? Because generally I care about these people. Yeah. That's why we do what we do.
Yes.
And so being authentically myself, I think has really been fruitful for me as a salesperson. Because it's really just me talking to a person and helping them solve a problem.
That is true.
So I know that there are folks out there that are like, oh, I'm not a salesperson. You're going on YouTube. You're looking at how other people do it. And that's great. But use that information to help build up the muscle of how you want to be. So that's my biggest piece.
I'm taking that advice because, I'm almost like, I could do the other stuff, but the sales part, I don't know. So because you guys do a lot of work, you travel, you have conferences, you're on sales calls, as you said, a lot, which is a good thing. That means business is doing well. What are some things you like to do to, take a break from it all, to relax, like, just get away from, because I know as an entrepreneur, like you can be so consumed in your business. It literally is like a 24/7, like the clock never stops when it comes to business, right? I know sometimes I could be calling you to be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You're like, oh yeah, we just had to do, writing group, or we had to send out this email, this proposal or something. So what do you find has helped you like kind of like decompress, take a break so you can still stay sane when you're doing entrepreneurship so much?
That has even been an evolution. And so it's like, what are my hobbies? I'm still like developing this, because it's like you got to be intentional about taking that time aside and doing something that you love, that you enjoy, that really does like pour back and fill back your cup back up. For me, it's reading a book and just kind of escaping. It's sometimes it can be just vegging and watching junk trash TV.
What are your favorites?
Oh gosh, anything on TLC. I love all the 90 Day Fiance, franchise.
That's why I asked, because I know you like all the TLC stuff.
Yes, anything on TLC, reality TV on there, for sure. Lots of different shows on Netflix. But I've wanted to do like more than that, and so we were just talking about this the other day, like. I am wanting to like stop saying, oh, I'm going to do that eventually. Some small things like learning how to sew, taking sewing classes, building or creating a herb garden, things like that. And so it's this evolution that's still happening, because it's like, what brings you joy outside of work, and making sure that you are doing those things to make sure that you're filling your cup back up so you can come and you're ready to like go hard.
That's so important, because I know, like when I first moved back home and I was like, now that I'm not styling anymore, what am I going to do? And then I took that year to just literally live. Like I was outside. I was going here, going there, but it gave me an opportunity to get creative again, to like think about what I wanted to, but there was no pressure to like be so consumed with like, what are we working on now? Just find joy in the little things. And then all of this happened as a result of that.
Yes.
And so what advice, because I know someone's, they were in your position, and we talked about it a little bit before, like leaping, but what advice would you give to someone who's interested in entrepreneurship? Because, I mean, even now, that's still a big, like, be your own boss, don't work for the man, but everybody's not built to be an entrepreneur.
No, exactly. Let's normalize that.
Like, 9 to 5s are okay.
Yes.
But what advice would you give to someone that is maybe interested, either maybe it's full-time, part-time, tapping into entrepreneurship? Like, just generally, like, what advice would you give them now that you've been on both worlds? Because most people can't say they've done both. So what advice would you give them?
Start talking to people that have done it, that you know and you trust. If you don't know someone, start going on YouTube and just hearing what they're saying. Um, you know, I think about a person that's like, hey, I may want to dabble in that.
Yeah.
This is just me personally. We already talked about this, very risk averse.
Yeah.
So for me, if I know I have something to offer, and I want to start to sell it, I would start trying to find a way to carve out time to do that. To get a sense of what I'm doing before
You go all
leaving.
in?
That's just
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I'm just not the person that's like, you know what? I quit. I'm going to go and I'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
God's got me. I know God has me, but at the same time, I feel like there's certain things that I need to do to make sure that, certain things are going to be in place. So that's not, necessarily what everybody will do. But start talking to people as a first step, hearing what they have to say. What advice would they give you? And start really thinking about what do you want from yourself out of life? Because like you said, not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur. It's okay to have your main 9-to-5 job and have a side hustle. So just making sure that that is exactly what you want to do before you start building that plan to do that, I think would be like the first step.
Yeah, y'all, 9-to-5s are okay.
They are. They are.
And it's okay. Actually, it's a good thing to have more than one source of income the way things are these days.
Hello.
Okay? Listen. So tell us a little bit about Done Dissertation. We talked about it. You help dissertation students, but this is a platform we want to promote the brand as well.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about Done Dissertation, the work that you guys are doing, some of the things you've been able to do. Because at first, we know Ramon was working one-on-one with dissertation students. Now you guys are the coaching, and there's other things happening. So let's talk a little bit about what is Done Dissertation for someone who's never heard of Done Dissertation before.
So Done Dissertation is basically a consulting business in which we are working with doc students that are looking to finish their dissertation and finish quickly.
Yeah.
Many times students, after they finish their coursework, they have to write this big paper called a dissertation, which really is like the capstone, the culmination of all the classes and research, et cetera, that they've done. And so, you would think, oh, it's just a big paper.
Right.
It's not. A lot. It's not. It's a lot to it.
Working with you all, I have learned a lot about the dissertation process too that I did not know.
Yes. It's a lot to it. And so there are a lot of students that can find themselves stuck and they want to get unstuck. And so Ramon, when he was writing his dissertation, he first started out as a struggling student, doc student, when he started his coursework. And, he had been identified as a gifted student, K through 12. He really rocked undergrad, his master's program, and he struggled when he entered his doctorate program.
Yeah.
But he's a very driven individual and decided that he was going to kind of figure this thing out. And so he was able to write his dissertation from start to finish in 7 months, which is very fast, folks.
Yes.
His whole journey, though, was about a year because he ended up graduating in the fall because faculty went away for the summer.
And that's still fast.
It's still fast.
Because you hear people all the time, they're just like, oh, it took me 2 years, 3 years. Some people are longer than that. And I'm like,
yeah. And so, he's a nice guy. Classmates started going to him, hey, can you read my paper and give me feedback? Sure, he's a nice guy. He's meeting people at Starbucks, Panera. Oh, I'm helping this person. I'm helping that person. And then they started finishing. And then faculty started sending their students to him. And that's literally how our company is created. I tell folks, very organic. It's like it was just God's plan for us. And it has just evolved over the years, where at first he just did this as a side thing. And it really did just kind of fund vacations and stuff like that. But then it just kept picking up. It kept picking up. And we started seeing more need here, more need there. We need to address this. We need to address this. And so now, we have a full-blown coaching program. We've helped hundreds of students. He does a lot of public speaking. He's written a book that outlines how to get finished quickly. And we also work with universities. So universities will call us in to work with their students. And really what we're trying to do, big mission, is we're trying to create the standard for balanced support. So we have...
Well, let's change that. Not trying.
Yes, we are. We are. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So we have proof of concept with students. But Ramon knows well that faculty have their struggles as well. And that is a variable when you think about getting a dissertation done that also needs to be addressed. And so we are building a balanced support program so that faculty are supported and students are supported. So when the two come together and combine, students are able to get the work done to finish, which helps, retention rates with programs and helps faculty help more and more students so that the research ecosystem just continues to churn. Exactly. So that's what we're doing. So if anybody's
watching and listening, if you are a doc student, y'all ready to get that dissertation done. If you know someone that's a doc student, go ahead and check out Done Dissertation. Of course, I'm going to share all the information in the notes. And so to wrap up, what is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh my gosh.
I know. You know how to get you a good one.
Yes.
How to leave you with a good
one. What I would say to my younger self is you're more than you think you are.
I love that.
I tend to want to minimize myself.
Yeah.
But making this leap has really allowed me to grow and mature into where I am, and I hope to continue to grow and mature. And, there was a lot of self-doubt at times, and I'm wondering, the imposter syndrome, like, what are you really doing? Like, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to be successful. And it's like, but I am successful. Like, I am doing it. And so just, you are more than you think you are.
I love that. When you put that on a t-shirt. We'll put it, you know what I like to do? Did you ever see Being Mary Jane?
Yes.
Where she had the stickers. And
on the mirror?
Started doing that. Yes.
Yes.
I read, what book did I just finish? It was one of these books, one of these like 7 weeks. I forget what it was called. Like, Calling in the One. And it's like a 7-week that takes you all these different exercises every day. So after that, I have like all the stickers. So you need to put a sticker in your mirror that says you are more than you think you are. I love that. Yes. So where can everybody find you, friend? Oh, and we're going to get you doing more speaking stuff too, just so you know. I know. Listen, I'm on Team Ramon. Okay, he wants to get you out here. I'm on Team Ramon. We're going to get you out here. So we're going to do more speaking too. Just want you to know that.
Yes.
Just so you know.
So we're all in all the spaces on social media. Just look up, Done Dissertation. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can find us anywhere, really. And if you want to go directly to our website, it's www.thedonedissertation.com. And if you want to speak with me, if you are a doc student that needs support, you can go to velocitydissertation.com, where you can learn more about our coaching services and actually schedule a consultation with me.
And I will drop all of the links because there are a lot of them for them.
Yes.
And I only know this because I actually work with them on the marketing side.
Yes.
So I will share all the links with you guys so you guys can connect. And you will be having a sales call with Renee.
Yes, you will.
If you decide to schedule a call, it will be with the guru right here.
Yes.
But thank you, friend, for joining me for the new podcast.
Thank you for having me. This has been nice.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. More episodes to come. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Kickback with Keri podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The Kickback with Keri is available wherever you get your podcasts.